dead.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Last Epoch. Content creator streamer Zizaran has put out a video. Last Epoch 1.1 is aiming to fix all the main problems. And as most of you know, I'm not huge into reaction content. Absolute max one video a week. But when a video is sent to me over and over and over again and people ask for my opinions, sure, why not? I have not watched this video yet, so we're going to check it out together. Let's see what Zizaran has to say about Cycle 2.
This patch 1.1, it is aiming to fix some of the major pain points of Last Epoch, which is there isn't that much endgame to do, which is sort of actually a bit of a new thing in ARPGs and something that Path of Exile brought to the genre back in the day, like Diablo 2, etc. And Diablo 3, there wasn't that much of a solid endgame. ARPGs traditionally haven't had like a separate huge endgame, right? Last Epoch was suffering a little bit because the endgame systems there were, well, not that much to do, right? It's mostly, at least for me, I
don't know if I always agree with this. I do think that for a veteran player from Diablo, Torchlight, PoE, Last Epoch, yes, the endgame will for sure get stale. You have 3 different dungeons with different mechanics. You've got the arena with leaderboards, and then of course you've got the main endgame, which is the Monolith of Fate. I agree, definitely, that we would want to see more in expansions of those systems. But from a new player perspective, I think there's truly a lot to do. So, yeah, for sure.
Item chase that is incredibly fun, but you do run out of things to do because there's no pinnacle bosses. And if you don't know what a pinnacle boss is, pinnacle bosses would be like really big things, like Path of Exiles had things like Shaper, Cyrus, etc. And Last Epoch didn't have a ton of bosses and not a ton of pinnacle bosses. That is one of the big things that they're aiming to bring in 1.1. So yeah, multiple new bosses, a pinnacle final boss, and this does seem very PoE inspired. New enemies, Harbingers. Now, for Path of Exile players, these are purple. I know. What's kind of happened to Prophecy? But they are going to be the key to unlock the new in-game boss, and they're found in Empowered Timelines. And there is Nemesis Harbingers, which will appear in zones and bring you loot that you can upgrade and scales in difficulty and rewards.
Nemesis system. That little picture of the egg, you can replace the egg with a unique that doesn't have legendary potential and add, potentially, LP to uniques.
Another thing that's very big in 1.1, besides lots of more endgame and new bosses, a really cool thing is that they are adding a evade dodge roll mechanic, which I feel like Diablo was the first one that really started doing that. And now Path of Exile and Last Epoch are like, it's a really good idea. And I really like, and I think every ARPG should do this. Not that they should all copy everything from each other and be completely homogenized, but sometimes an ARPG just does something that's just like, that's so fucking smart, why aren't we doing that, right? And there are some things that just, yeah, and we've seen Diablo taking things from Last Epoch and stuff, and I really like that there are some things that just fucking make sense, right? And I think that's wonderful. The biggest thing I wish that every ARPG would have would be a corruption mechanic, Valorb in Path of Exile.
Let me stop him right there. So when you see Mike on his Friday live streams, he's always hitting spacebar because he's trying to use the evade mechanic, but obviously it's not in Cycle 1, it's coming Cycle 2. I do the exact same thing. I'm hitting spacebar because I've already played Cycle 2. It is going to feel really nice having that extra mobility when you need it.
Is the best thing because there are so many things that you will find a lot of, right? So being able to like chance, maybe destroy it, maybe get something special on something that you keep getting a lot of is such a cool way to get like a little RNG element to like a final upgrade. And I love corruption. So I really hope every game ends up with that. Yeah, obviously it is important that they're all individual and have their own identity, but an evade dodge roll mechanic I think is really good. It is also an interesting way to balance speed in a game because you can maybe move more away from actual movement abilities like Path of Exile, right? Very insane speed because you have so many movement abilities, you can scale them, whereas a dodge roll you usually can't scale. So it'll be interesting how that turns out in Last.
Just to be clear, the style of boss fights, Harbingers, Pinnacle boss, they require some form of movement speed. So evade dodge roll needed to be added to LE so that EHG could make more dynamic boss fights for the future, including what we're about to get.
last Epoch, and it seems like that's going to have iframes and stuff like that as well, and that'll be really good for bosses, right? That lets you do very interesting things when you have things you can dodge out of the way. Now, it'll be cool to see if the final boss in Last Epoch is going to have, like, you know, markers for where you have to dodge. Not every game does that. Path of Exile, you know, you're getting hit by the Shaper Slam. First time you're seeing that bad boy, you have no idea where it's going to hit. There's no red marker. You just die. Whereas Last Epoch has had a lot of, like, immunity markers. Like, hey, this area is unsafe. Get out of the way. You died. Right? The item factions are going to be rebalanced in Last Epoch. It will be very interesting because I think pretty much everybody was doing the solo self-found faction. I mean, honestly, they don't really need to be balanced. They could be like changed every single patch. So, like, some patches this one's good, some patches the other one's good.
I think I just saw.
You died, right? The item factions are.
That's interesting. Item faction updates. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12.
Going to be rebalanced in Last Epoch. It will be very interesting because I think pretty much everybody was doing the solo self-found faction. I mean, honestly, they don't really need to be balanced. They could be like changed every single patch. So, like, some patches this one's good, some
That is incorrect. Most people play Merchant's Guild. Sorry.
patches the other one's good. I think the big problem, in my opinion, was that the solo self-found faction, I know it's not solo self-found, but like trading is way too easy, especially if you have friends, because like the way it would work, and you get so many more drops, so much more stuff you're finding, it's ludicrous. And I could just play with Steel Mage for an hour and then trade an item that he found for me, right? But we did see a lot of people getting especially like really good legendary potential items from the auction house. So maybe they are balanced, and it just, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I didn't play the...
They are trying to make COF actually be able to compete with Merchant's Guild. Truth be told.
Trading one, so maybe I'll try the trading one this time. There are also new endgame ranks for factions that don't require grinding, but we have no details on that yet. So it'll be interesting. Maybe that's like something to do with the boss. So, is this what Last Epoch needed? I have been, over the last few months, been asked a lot, like, oh, is Last Epoch dead? And it's such a weird thing to me as a long-term ARPG player. And I know that there was a content creator making a video, what happened to Last Epoch? And I think these things are so crazy. It's a wonderful thing, in my opinion, that like this genre, for the most part, is like, play our game for a little while and then go enjoy something else, right? I think it is a huge mistake from games that are like, we want to capitalize on all your time. Please don't play any other game. We want to have a subscription fee. We want to have dailies. We want to have super dailies. We want to have the most important daily that you cannot miss or you're basically ruined. And the games just end up feeling like a chore. Like, some of my friends are playing MMOs and stuff where they will be like, well, I have to do dailies first and then I can come play. And I'm like, oh, are they fun? And they're like, no, but I have to do them. And I'm like, the way RPGs work, if you're new to them, is that they're very cyclical in nature. They might have a 3 or a 5 month cycle, etc. 5 month is really rough as a Path of Exile content creator now, let me tell you. Please, let's go back to 3 months. But either way, like, there will be like a lot of hype for the first month of the league. Some people will play for 2 or 3. And whatever the last month of the league is, whether it's a 3 month cycle or a 5 month cycle, the last month, people are usually playing other games that might have come out, like Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, etc., and catching up on that. I think that's a great thing. You get like a little bit of a break before like the hype. And then every launch, everybody's back, or at least a large amount, a lot of...
I'm going to stop Zizaran right there. One, I just want to say thank you so much. He is referring to Riker's video that I reacted to as well, because it got sent to me so much, talking about what happened to Last Epoch. Last Epoch's dead, which is unbelievably ludicrous. Last Epoch still pulls 4,000 players almost daily when it is 4.5 months since Cycle 1. It's actually held very, very good retention. And obviously what he is talking about is a lot of people, you'll play Torchlight, you'll play Diablo, you'll play PoE, you'll play Last Epoch. Maybe you'll play some Hero Siege. Maybe you'll play some Grim Dawn patch or Grim Dawn Community League. Maybe you'll jump over to Elden Ring. At least in the live service genre, you game jump. You go from game to game. So saying that, hey, there used to be 265,000 people playing Last Epoch, and now there's only 4,000, the game is dead. You just don't understand the way it works. Now, we will see how much of that 265,000 returns. It'll be a much better argument if it's, hey, you know, the game had 265,000 players, and then for cycle 2, it only had 100,000. Well, that'll be a conversation we'll have to see when we get the results in 10 days. Zizaran, great point.
People take like maybe a break of a season from a game. And every game works like this. Diablo, Path of Exile, Last Epoch. And for all three of them, in the last month, everyone's like, Zizaran, did you see? Diablo's dead. Path of Exile's dead. Last Epoch's dead. And it's like, okay, dude. Something Last Epoch needs, in my opinion, is better cosmetics. I don't really understand how this game is going to have long-term viability with only the game being $35, which is very similar to what people end up buying just for stash tabs in Path of Exile. And obviously a lot end up spending maybe $100 on stash tabs in Path of Exile. But Path of Exile and their finances are public. Obviously, most of their income is from cosmetics, whereas the Last Epoch cosmetics right now are quite ugly. And I think a lot of people want to support the game more and are like, wow, this is something really special here. It's such a nice middle ground between Path of Exile and Diablo 4, with Path of Exile being too convoluted and Diablo 4 being too shallow for a lot of people who have Last Epoch sitting smack in the middle. Yeah. So I really hope they end up working in some cool things there.
I super agree with this. Mike gets asked every single Friday on his live streams, when are we getting new MTX? When are we getting better MTX? When are we getting skill MTX? And I do think they need to be better, and I'm sure they will get better over time. But it is confirmed that new supporter packs are coming for Cycle 2 on July 9th. And just so you know, up until July 11th, Last Epoch isn't $35. It's 20% off. You can get it for like $28 or something like that. Check out my Nexus store.
That actually look good. And the graphics of the game have been improving a lot. I find that my default gear in the game looks better than the MTX, which is probably good, but also like, I do care a lot about a game being viable long term when it is a live service game. I do want the developers being incentivized to keep giving me content, which is why I've always been buying PoE supporter packs. But yeah, that's my take on that. Do remember, if you want, you can buy Last Epoch through me from my Nexus store. But either way, I hope you guys like this update. I will be playing for sure. It comes out a few weeks before the new PoE season, so I'll be playing for a bit, probably a few weeks, probably 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks, I think. But I'm excited for a new season and excited for the new boss. Thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Try to die less than I do.
Ziz. Oh, it was a good video. I'm actually really glad I watched it, and the take on Last Epoch dead, spot on. And he was talking about Lost Ark. That is my guess. Lost Ark has tons of dailies, MMO, you got to go do your dungeon, raid, you got to do all this crap. It is absolutely so agitating because you feel like, oh, right after dinner, I got to go do my dailies. Anyways, great video, Zizaran. I will link this in the description. It's not dead, and we're all excited for it. Ooh, there's also 30 new uniques coming, tons of balance changes. I'm telling you, Cycle 2 is going to feel special. I'm done. Hopefully you were entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.